views. Yeah.
Oh, yes, we have Patrick also joined. Hey, Patrick, how are you?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good.
Nice to meet you, Daniel. How are you?
Likewise. Where are you calling from, Patrick?
I'm in Dubai as well.
Yeah.
Not literally outside this fish tank, but
well, I am actually literally in my kitchen, so maybe I should have had a different background. keeping it real.
Exactly. Best way.
Yeah. Okay. Well, should I make a start then? Do you think, or do you want to wait?
We will start. We will start. So Patrick will officially start in 1 minute, and then
Okay.
I will just introduce the community meetup, and I will introduce you, and then you take over. You will have around, as I told you, 30 minutes, and then we'll open the questions, and then we will do we have our you can say traditional the rituals, the competition winners, the updates of the what's happening, what is with the future plans, which we'll do after your call is done. You're free to be part of it or drop out. That is
okay.
Basically, it's a weekly rituals. The word I was missing is the rituals. That was the updates, what's happening, and the discussions that are going on. But we will have discussions, the questions around your topic, plus what all is happening in the world of AI and tech as well. So it's going to be a discussion around those topics, and then we will do this the second part, the rituals.
Sounds good.
Cool. Then we can start. Patrick, over to you.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 46th AI community meeting for Decoding Data Science and AI. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We're really happy to have you here as we entered our 46th one. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary this week, so once another congratulations to everybody. And today on the call, we have our usual lineup. My name is Patrick Cheeseman. I'm your host and the timekeeper, along with Mohammed Arshad, who will come up next to talk about review what's been happening over the last week. And then today we've got an amazing guest speaker, Daniel Lenton, CEO of Unify, is going to talk about the best LLMs on every prompts. And we're very grateful to have you here, Daniel. Thank you very much. He'll have 30 minutes of presenting, then 30 minutes of questions, open to questions, and then back to Mohammed to preview the week ahead, and then I'll wrap up after the 90 minutes. So without further ado, I'll pass you over to Mohammed. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. So welcome everyone to the 46th meetup. Before I hand it over to Daniel, we celebrated our 1-year community meetup in Dubai physically. It was a very great physical event attended by more than 25 to 30 people. And we talked about our growth and our mission to get the knowledge of AI and data science among the community, the correct knowledge, the correct resources, and do a lot of action-based workshops of how these technologies can be used, and not only connect the learners to businesses, but also help them do their own startup, build projects, and create an 360-degree ecosystem. This is our mission, and we have grown to more than 100K across social media and an active 4,700 people in WhatsApp. We showed our journey, we showed our recordings of meetups and we had a wonderful quiz as well. And I will not take more time right now. I will just introduce our guest speaker, who is going to have an amazing talk about the LLM prompts. So we have Daniel. Daniel Lenton is a founder and CEO of Unify, and he's on a mission to improve the speed, cost, and the quality of LLM deployments. He's also a venture partner and pioneer fund investing in top YC companies with a focus on AI infra companies. Prior to founding Unify, Daniel was a PhD student at Imperial College.
Sorry, Adosh, maybe do you want to quickly mute your microphone by any chance? I think there's some coming through from Adosh. Sorry,
Adarsh, can you just mute? Yeah, and I will just, to be on the hygienic side, I will mute all the participants. And after Daniel's presentation, we will continue. We will unmute the audience, and you can raise your hands as well. So I was mentioning that Daniel also is a PhD student at Imperial College, where he conducted research at the intersection of ML, computer vision, and robotics. And during this time, he also worked at Amazon on their drone delivery program. Prior to this, he completed his master's in mechanical engineer and at Imperial College with a Dean's List recognition. And the topic is the great about how we can choose the correct LLMs at the at every prompt that we give. And we don't need to take the stress of selecting these LLMs, and a platform like Unify or any other technology can help us do that, and what are the benefits of those. So thanks a lot, Daniel, for accepting our invitation to come and speak in our community meetup. Over to you. Yeah, you can unmute.
Amazing. Yeah, I just realized because I'm a participant as well. I guess that's the cause of the problem. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the very warm welcome and the kind introduction. Yeah, really, really honored to be here, and I hope it's an amazing talk. Let's see. But yeah, really, really looking forward to sharing some of the latest work with you. So let me quickly share my. Oh, sorry, screen sharing is also disabled actually. Oh no, okay, got it. So let's get the Chrome tab and share this one. Okay, so hopefully you can see my screen. Amazing. Awesome. So yeah, so today, as introduced, we're going to be going through how you can get the best LLM on every prompt. But first, to give a little bit of background. So as I'm sure everyone is aware, machine learning has really seen a few renaissances in the last decade or so. So in 2012, there was a big push in deep learning, especially after AlexNet, and more recently, ChatGPT. The release of that has created a whole new layer on top of these models as well. And we're really seeing machine learning growing, month on month at the moment. And this is evidenced by the number of models that are increasing. So this is one graph that's quite interesting. The number of language models, multimodal models, vision models, etc., all cumulatively increasing vastly, in an exponential growth rate. And these are the number of fundamental models that are out. So just machine learning is growing is the overall story. More significantly, we're seeing this new era where there's a lot of endpoints. So a lot of companies that were conventionally doing pure infrastructure, such as Anyscale and OctoML and Grok, are now entering the market with their own verticalized AI as a service offerings, where you, for example, can query an LLM or a text-to-image model and use this in your applications, much like GPT-4, ChatGPT, etc. So we're really seeing many more endpoints entering the market, and a lot of these in a very competitive space. So it's not obvious when you're deploying an application at scale what the best solution is, because it depends on your application whether you want to optimize for throughput or cost or latency or accuracy. And typically these things are all in direct competition with one another. So for example, you can get very low latency by doing heavy compression, but this sacrifices the accuracy. You can get very high throughput by spinning up a lot of devices that are kind of sat there waiting to ingest all the requests, but this then leads to redundancies and means it's very expensive, and so on. So you really can't have your cake and eat it here. You need to carefully tune these different competing factors on an application specific manner. So what most people typically do is they effectively, without knowing it, are doing static routing. So you're taking all of your prompts and you're sending all of your prompts to one model provided by one provider. And what that means is that aside from the specific quality of that model, the actual variance of that provider is something that you're intrinsically locked into. And as that provider, so what we show here is the time on the x-axis and tokens per second on the y-axis. And this is just some, I can't remember for which provider this is, but this is one of the providers from our benchmarks. And what you see is that the performance varies wildly across time. So at some point, you're getting as high as 100 tokens per second. At other times, it can go as low as about 20 tokens per second. And you're basically just locked in, riding these waves up and down because you're locked into using one particular provider. So our first insight is, Well, if you've got your model selected, you know that you're using, let's say, Mixtral or Llama, 70B or Gemma. You know what model you're using. Well, can we not just route across all of these different providers and actually get better performance at any point in time? So you can imagine here, there's all these different providers that have certain tokens per second at any point in time and from any particular location in the world. And you don't care what provider you've got. You just want the fastest and the cheapest available for your model, and you want to send it to the appropriate provider. So what you can end up doing is having something that looks like this. So in terms of the output tokens per second, by doing simple routing across the providers, we can get something which is much faster than any individual provider would be able to give you, basically. And what I can quickly do now is show you what this looks like live. So I'll very quickly share my screen for a moment, and we can go to our website. So you come here to go on the benchmarks. You can either go on developers benchmarks, or you can come down and click here, for example. You then get our benchmarks, and just to show you what this looks like in a particular case, we can see here the runtime performance of Mixtral from all of these different providers, and we have more coming soon. We'll be soon adding Vertex AI and Grok and Databricks and several others that are also now entering with their own endpoints. But what you can see is the output tokens per second varying drastically across time. And you start to see some interesting things. For example, let's look at the time to first token. We can select that graph by clicking here. And what we see is that in Belgium, for example, Mistral is by far the fastest because the servers are based in Paris somewhere. Whereas if we go to Iowa, the fastest is Fireworks, because again, Fireworks is based in the US and they don't have to send their requests across the Atlantic. So this really highlights the fact that when you're choosing the provider, the time of day, the moment in time throughout the weeks and throughout the days is important, but so is the geography, because that can lead to very different results. And this is all accounted for in our benchmarks, which underpin the dynamic routing that we do across providers. And these are run every 10 minutes for all models. So then coming back to the presentation. So yeah, here we go. So that's all well and good. We can route across different providers for one model. But what about if we can actually route across different models? You can imagine a situation where you don't only care about the cost and the speed. So we have cost here, speed here, but you also care about the quality of the model as well. And you can start to do optimization across these three orthogonal vectors, which is the speed, the cost, and the quality of the outputs. And the quality varies wildly across the models themselves. So Gemma, Mixtral, Llama, GPT-4, etc. So what we have now is there's a ton of different prompts, and we're expecting one model to be the best model at answering all of them. And this is not realistic, particularly as we see more and more models entering the space, and we see some plateau in the really general models. We start to see models which are increasingly good in very specialized specific domains. And as we start to see more of these enter the open space with their own endpoints, it becomes increasingly clear that having one model to answer everything is not the way forwards. So you can imagine that we have all of these prompts, all of these questions. If you imagine them being collapsed into a single point in some kind of latent space representation, such as a t-SNE visualization, we have something like this. So any one model, we can expect that it's very, very good at answering certain kinds of prompts, but not as good at answering others. I mean, GPT-4 is an incredibly good model, but there are specialized models that are good at answering other kinds of questions, such as text-to-SQL models, where other specialized models are better. There's coding models, particularly with Claude 3 and Gemini getting quite competitive. And there's inevitably regions in the prompt space where some of these models outperform other models, basically. So there's going to be some areas where it's very good and other areas where it's not so good. And we can see this a little bit here. So this is GPT-4, and this is on 6 different coding data sets. Again, with each of these data points represents a prompt in some latent embedding space. And then and we ask GPT-4 to answer the question, and then we use GPT-4 as a judge to rate how good GPT-4 was at answering the question. And while GPT-4 is very good, as evidenced by all of the blue, there are some questions where GPT-4 fails, as evidenced by these red ones. So, there's always regions in the prompt space where even very good models fall short and are not able to answer the question. So the idea is that then other models are going to come in that are good at answering these particular areas where one model falls short, and you end up having this potential for an ensemble of these models that can actually cover the prompt space, much better, basically. And what we see here is, we're doing some more analysis on this, but what we have here basically is on all of these 6 coding data sets we saw before. So these, Code Shared GPT, Code Contests, Magicoder, Glaive, Evol Instruct, and the Alpaca style coding data sets. All of these are then put together onto one graph. And what we see here are different models per graph. And we see that GPT-4 is very good, most of them with a few shortcomings. Gemma 7b is good at some, but struggles for most. And we have a whole range of different abilities when it comes to Mistral Medium, GPT 3.5, DeepSeek, Mistral Small, Mistral Large, and Mixtral. So again, there is non-overlapping performance of these models on these various data points. So all of this suggests that we should be really thinking about routing across this joint optimization of cost, speed, and quality. And you should be able to route across several models provided by several providers to really get the best model on every single prompt that perfectly balances these user-specific prioritizations across cost, speed, and quality. So what I'll do now is go through a simple example of a model we've trained, just to show what's possible in a relatively constrained environment. So the question is, can we create a model which is cheaper than GPT-4 whilst being better at coding than DeepSeek? And so you can imagine that here we have the cost on the x-axis up to $30 per million tokens for GPT-4, about 50 cents per million for DeepSeek. And then we have, GPT-4 is pretty much 100% accurate on the data set, and DeepSeek is about 81% accurate. So the first thing we look at is, well, what's the theoretical maximum we could achieve here? And this is what we represent as the router oracle, where you can imagine, so what we do is we look at this validation data set, we send all of the prompts to DeepSeek, and then we ask retrospectively, using GPT-4 as an oracle, did DeepSeek get this answer correct or not? And then we assume that we had correctly routed every prompt that DeepSeek can answer to DeepSeek, and everything else went to GPT-4. And if we did this over this validation set of 1,000 prompts, we would end up having a system which is just as good as GPT-4 at getting the answer right, so 100%, but is about 4 times cheaper than GPT-4. So this is what's theoretically possible if we could intelligently squeeze DeepSeek to its maximum and only fall back to GPT-4 when DeepSeek isn't good enough. So there's another solution which is trivial. So this is the theoretical upper bound. Another trivial solution would just be to randomly select DeepSeek or GPT-4 probabilistically. So if 50% of the time we chose GPT-4 and 50% DeepSeek, we would have something that's $15 per million tokens and about 90% accurate, and so on. So this is a trivial solution. So the question is, can we learn a router which, without needing to query DeepSeek and without needing to ask GPT-4 as an oracle on every prompt, can we, with a smaller model, proactively predict how well DeepSeek will do, so we know whether to make a routing decision, so we know what routing decision to make? And what we see here are these curves for routers that we were able to train using a neural network. So the reason we have different colors is because this was different with different training set sizes. So we see that when you have 16,000 examples in the training set or 32,000 examples, we start to get slightly better performance. So it does scale with training. And if we had many, many more examples, we could push even further. And the reason that they're curves and not single points is because basically we scale between cost and quality. So these represent a router evaluated on the entire validation set, where we scale from something that only cares about quality, and that's why it converges to GPT-4, all the way down to one that only cares about cost, which then converges with DeepSeek, and everything in between represents some router that is balancing quality and cost to a different extent. And our neural network predicts a continuous valued quality score, which is why we can do this kind of continuous range, basically. So what we see in the middle is that we can already get a router which is half the price of GPT-4, while being about 98% accurate on the validation set. So a very small drop in accuracy while being half the price. And this really shows what's possible with predictive routing as a solution to improve the cost profile of LLMs. And we can see some interesting results where on some data sets it's better. So we do quite well with Java and Python, still nowhere near the Oracle, but not too bad. Whereas with assembly, SQL, and Rust, we struggle a bit more. And this is partly because of the amount that these are available in the data set. So we have 25% Python, almost 10% Java in the Glaive data set that this was trained on, and only 1% Rust, 5% assembly, and 10% SQL. So basically, we're seeing that more data generally makes the training better. So if we just get lots of data, then we can really start to learn these distributions. But just a couple of examples of like getting an answer we get correct. So basically, the question is, can you provide a Python function that receives a list of strings and returns a dictionary with the frequency counts of each word? So we correctly routed to DeepSeek here, and DeepSeek got the answer correct because it provided a function that iterates over each word. If the word's already in the dictionary, it increments the count for that word. And if it's not, then we add the word to the dictionary with a count of 1. So it gets the answer correct. And then one where it doesn't. So we incorrectly routed to DeepSeek here with the learned router, where we ask if we can rearrange a given array in Python, such the first element is the greatest and the second is the smallest. And actually here it's almost correct, but the second element is actually the second smallest, not the smallest, because it didn't consider the fact that this one's been, because it's an easy mistake to make because it kind of doesn't consider the array's been updated already. So this is just kind of a bit of an example of the kind of thing that the router still hasn't been able to capture. So the final few slides, basically we were looking at the question. So, well, that's all well and good. This is all these results I've shown are with one model, DeepSeek, and one data set, which is Glaive. So the question is, can we generalize this to multiple models and multiple data sets? And this is something we're working on at the moment. But what we can at least do to start with is just assess the upper bound theoretical potential for a router that is trained in such a domain. So what we have here are 7 different data sets. No, sorry, 6, I can't count. 6 different data sets, the same 6 data sets as before. And we look at these different models, which are the models we had before as well on a previous slide. So we have like Mistral, GPT-4, Mixtral, Gemma, and so on. And then the question is, how good would an Oracle router be? And these green dots show that we can get something that's much, much better in terms of cost performance profile. So again, the x-axis is cost per million tokens. The y-axis is accuracy. And these green dots here represent that if we had expert routing, where we knew exactly which one to route to proactively, then we could get something that's way cheaper than GPT-4 while being actually better performing than GPT-4. This is higher up on the accuracy score than GPT-4 Turbo. So there's really a lot to be gained by doing correct routing. And what we show here is the trivial solution. So basically, the convex hull that wraps all of these different solutions on these different data sets is what we could do with some trivial, with some trivial kind of interpolation-based routing. More interestingly, like you might think, well, this is all well and good, but do we really need that many models? Like if you're iterating between quality and cost, which is why we have several green dots, not just one, we kind of scale between, as I say, kind of this dot represents a router that's more concerned with quality, and this router is one that is more concerned with cost as we get further left. So the question is, do we need all of these models? Like surely some of them are never used. Maybe some of them are just so bad and so expensive or something that they are never irrelevant. But actually what we find is all of these models are actually used when we have expert routing, and somewhat uniformly in some cases. I mean, if you look at code contests in the bottom right, we have like GPT-4 Turbo is heavily used. Well, let me just quickly explain what k equals 25% means at the top. So k equals 25% means that between the values of 0, where we only care about quality, and 100, where we only care about cost, we're scaling between these two. So this is like the 25th percentile of going from quality to cost. So GPT-4 Turbo is quite strong on the code contest one. Then when we go to 50%, it gets smaller, and we go to DeepSeek much more. And then if we go to 75%, again, we never use GPT-4 Turbo, and we're using Gemma almost a quarter of the time. Again, we're looking on code contests in the bottom right, sorry. If we look in the top left, we see some other interesting results. Again, looking in the top left on the shared GPT Vicuna dataset, we see that to begin with, GPT-4 Turbo is used a bit, but then when we go up to 50, it's hardly used at all, and we use Gemma 7b more. And then at 75%, Gemma 7b is used even more, again, because of these predicted scores. But the overall story is a perfect router that had the benefit of foresight would use all of these models on different prompts, and therefore there is a lot to be gained by having this ensemble of all of the different models on different tasks, which really sets the stage for a very interesting future work in routing in general. So yeah, so that's kind of setting the stage. So, you know, the sky's the limit, and with more and more of these models coming out all the time, no doubt each of them is going to become specialized in different regions of the prompt space, and we're then going to have, you know, the potential for ensemble mixture of experts squared, you could say, solutions that really are better than any one model. So it goes beyond being only about, you know, the same quality but cheaper, and it starts to become, well, let's get better quality. Again, these green dots are higher up on the accuracy scale than GPT-4 Turbo. So it's not about, you know, just saving costs. It's about better quality and better costs, which is really compelling. And then in terms of some future work, so we're working on enterprise. So we want to make it very customizable as well. So if you want to, you can take a load of open source models and run these on your own cloud or on-prem. And then you can do fine tuning on all of these smaller open source models. So do some LoRa fine tuning on your data set. You then start to get these different small models specialized in different regions of the prompt space. And then you have the router that's also jointly fine-tuned alongside these, and you start to then learn to route the prompts to the small LLM that's best at handling those kind of prompts, and you kind of jointly fine-tune your mixture of small models and your router all at once, and then get a very good on-prem solution that's much more efficient and performant than training a single big large language model with LoRa from scratch, or not from scratch, fine-tuning a big model. And another interesting area we're doing some early experiments in is routing in other domains as well. I think there's a lot to be gained from dynamic routing in text-to-speech and text-to-image and text-to-video, both within the domains of these modes, but also across them as well. So having a single API that can use these multimodal concepts and bring it together to bring a very high-level AGI experience, but also within the domains of these, there's lots of endpoints coming out in all these areas. And the benefits of dynamic routing transcend LLMs and actually expand to all areas of Gen AI. And we're thinking already quite deeply about how that is all going to unfold. So just as a final two, basically like what you can do today already with our unified API is you can simplify the syntax of calling these different providers. So aside from having single sign-on, where you don't need to create different accounts with different API keys for all of these providers, you can also simplify the code that you use to actually query them. So instead of having a different thing for Hugging Face and for OpenAI, you can just use a single representation, and you can then basically specify a model name at provider name, in this case Llama 270B chat at any scale. And just by changing the model and the provider in this value in the dictionary, you can get any model you want, all with a standard for input-output format, basically. So that's, I tried to keep it to a tight 30 minutes. So that concludes the blast through talk. Thank you very much for listening. The final thing I'll say is we are giving, well, in total, so $50 free credits to everyone that signs up, but particularly for those listening to this talk, we're giving an extra $50. So if you sign up using this barcode at the bottom right, you get $100 of free credits in total. And I forgot the name of the, I think it's Decoding Data Science. So if you just use the code Decoding Data Science, you can get this extra $50 of free credit as well. So feel free to scan the barcode and sign up. And yeah, start to play around the unified API if you want as well. But yeah, thank you very much for listening, everybody. And yeah, very happy to answer any questions that there might be. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to unmute people so that they can unmute as well. There are a few questions in the chat, so I'll just start by reading it out. Kareem is asking, what is dynamic routing and why would we pick it out of the available options? So the same question.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah, okay. So well, that's a very good question. Very broadly, like dynamic routing is basically like, I mean, I don't know if there's a slide that represents this well, probably not so much. I mean, maybe this high level one. I mean, what it basically means is, so every prompt that comes in, we decide which combination of model. So models are Gemma and Mixtral and Llama and so on. They're the actual neural network architectures. So we decide which model and which provider. Providers are Anyscale and Together AI, and Mistral is also a provider as well as a model author. So we decide which model and provider to send your request to, based on what we think will be the fastest, cheapest, and best for this prompt, based on your own kind of specified metrics. And the reason that you should, the reason you should care about it is because, I mean, basically let's keep it very simple, looking here, because if you want to have something that's very accurate and very cheap, it's the best thing you can do. Like the theoretical gains of routing means that you can have something that costs 4 times less than GPT-4 while being just as good, or potentially something that's 4 times less than GPT-4 and better. So it's just kind of, if routing is done correctly, it's a no-brainer. It's just every single metric about LLMs is better. So it's kind of as simple as that, really. Yeah.
Omar is raising his hands. You can unmute and go ahead.
Yeah, Omar, yeah.
Yes, thank you for the presentation. I think it is a great idea. I mean, we've been experimenting with a couple of models, and as I mentioned, always you're going to find a model that is strength in one area, but is lacking in another area. And one of the most important one is the accuracy. So I read a couple of research paper about fact checking, and there is also solution in the market in that regard. But your idea of routing, I think that's also a good idea. Now, my question is like in 2 parts. First of like regarding the privacy, and if we can scale it up to enterprise level, how you can handle the data and the prompting and all the information do you do encryption in this case? How you do the privacy part of it? This is one. Second, the billing, because you're gonna utilize multiple system and you have to have all these accounts. Are you taking part of that one and you just bill one time to the customer in this case? How it is done in this way?
Yes, exactly. So as for the first one, we have integrations in the pipeline where we, with, for example, Azure and AWS and GCP, where you can run all of this directly in your own enterprise cloud. So we don't have access to the data. It's all just the models that are supported natively in these cloud providers already. We're also going to, a bit after that, add a mode where you can do all of this fully on-prem with just on your own, bare metal, basically. And that would happen where it would only be for open source models. So you would download all of the open source models wrapped in, Dockerized with VLLM and so on, that you can then do all on-prem on your own stuff, basically. The other thing you can do is filter for the kind of providers you want to include in the router. So what you can do is you can have a checkbox and say, I want to include this model and this model and this model. And because our router is very modular, that's very easy to do. So you can kind of say, well, I only want licenses that look like this, or I only want these kind of providers. So you can have a lot of control there. As for your second question about the pricing, all we do at the moment is we charge you, the user, exactly what we're paying to the backend provider. So we're actually not we're not making any margins or making any profit. We just want to, first of all, verify that this is useful, basically, and get users playing with it. In fact, we're operating at a loss because we give quite generous free credits. Eventually, because obviously we are a business and we will need to make money one day at some point, the way that we plan on doing that is that at some future release of the router, we will basically, we will then start to maybe make some margins on the cost savings. But if for example, using the router is 5 times cheaper than GPT-4 and better, then some of that big cost savings we're providing to users will then take some of that, to make sure we can keep the lights on. That's the idea, yeah.
But I would not have to have the accounts with all of these.
No, you don't need to have accounts. You have one API key, and we have our own enterprise accounts with all of these providers, and all of your traffic just flows through us. And you don't need to create accounts and worry about any of that. And we have very high rate limits and very high, expanded usage limits and stuff. So yeah.
And what about the tools like agents? Are you thinking about adding that one as well as a link? Because now as we go and grow, I think this year and next year will be about agents and different utilization of the agents, especially with the mega data that we have. So how you're thinking about that?
Yeah, so to be honest, for now, we're trying to just carve out our unique thing that we do really well. And what we're building is totally complementary to agents, because obviously under the hood, agents are just series of LLM queries. So dynamic routing is very relevant in the world of agents, because it just means that the actual LLMs that you're stacking and chaining together for chain of thought reasoning are then better and faster and cheaper. But we are working on agent demos where we can show the benefits of dynamic routing in the context of agents, and we're looking at LangChain and Llama Index demonstrations of this and so on. But yeah, very relevant field. I totally agree. Yeah.
Do you think about integrating your system with the DSPY framework, where it is more on the prompting itself and cleaning it and structuring it a different way? I think that will be really nice for your solution.
Yes, we are. So DSPY is on the immediate roadmap. We have the top of the list is Llama Index, LangChain, DSPY, and Haystack, and a few others. And then just giving some very concrete demos and case studies of the benefits of this is on the roadmap. That's a great idea. Yeah, for sure. Cool. Well, that were great questions. Thanks so much, Omar. I also noticed one from Patrick that I'm happy I can kind of just read that out. Or do you want to read it yourself, Patrick? Or
I can summarize. Yeah, I'll just because it's such a fascinating model, being able to optimize across models and performance systems. I just wondered, could that be extended? Are you looking to extend it to other types of technology like cloud services and other things to solve a business problem? That might say, look at this large language. We'll grab that large language model. We'll use that service there, and we'll give you the optimal tool to solve your problem.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we actually considered doing this across a while ago before we kind of focused and doubled down on just LLMs. We were looking at this in the general space of serverless GPUs and kind of automatically selecting whether you should use modal or replicate or banana dev. I mean, before they pivoted and so on. So yeah, I think that's really interesting. But I guess in a way that is being handled to some extent in the way that we route across providers, because in a way, like obviously, so we could do that on the enterprise side. Right now, all of these different providers obviously use their own different technology under the hood, like so behind their API, and there is already this kind of automatic decision that happens, which is like based on the region you're in the world, which which provider is the fastest and cheapest at this point in time, and doing that, I think, kind of starts to move into the general kind of the general area of I don't know, I guess kind of thinking about the cloud and networking and everything like this. I guess to do it for something that's more broad, like generally which is the best database, which is the best cloud infrastructure, it's very hard to give very prescriptive guidance unless it's measured with a very specific objective in mind. So I think kind of it's quite hard to do that. Actually, what I would say though, just to give, sorry, this is a meandering answer. I should probably think a bit more before I just start monologuing. But no, it just made me think, particularly with databases. Just to give a plug to a company that we're working with at the moment, Superlinked have a really nice comparison of vector databases actually. So I'd recommend checking out Superlinked. And then they have vector database comparison, similar to our comparison of the different providers through time. Yeah. So I think there's going to be more and more of these comparisons, but we're for now at least trying to be slightly as verticalized as we can be.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I was thinking, because of the nature of large language models, they can understand a business problem that a business person could define.
Yeah.
And then it would translate that into, okay, if I'm going to solve this, I need this, 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 and this. And I'm going to go out and search for the optimal technology stack to use that particular part of it, and bring it all together. Yeah, that was, I just found what you've done. Absolutely. I mean, congratulations. It's a fantastic concept and well implemented. Look forward to playing with it.
Well, thank you. Let's hope it's as good in practice as it seems. I'm quietly confident, but
are you just? I mean, is this how old is the company? How long have you been?
Well, yeah, the history of the company is interesting actually. So the company itself is now 2 years old, but this new focus is only since kind of January basically, or kind of December. So what we got some good traction on was basically we made an open source framework called Ivy that converts between different machine learning frameworks. Got kind of 14,000 stars on GitHub and got a lot of usage in research and academic circles and so on. And yeah, basically kind of that solved its problem, but we just saw LLMs exploding and thought there's such a more urgent need. We're obsessed with unification. The clue's in the name. We're called Unify. So what we hate is messy fragmentation and things to be all scattered. And there has been that in the machine learning framework space for a long time. But I think the more urgent problem to solve is the LLM fragmentation that's very quick growing. So we've kind of doubled down there. So yeah, we've been around for a while, but we've been working on this direction for kind of, maybe 15, 16 weeks. But we're happy with the progress made so far. And we're actually launching fully in, well, I'm now publicly saying it, but let's see. We're launching let's say mid-April, we're launching fully. So we'll be doing kind of our full platform to play with. So very excited about that,
No, fantastic. Well, if you need, I'm sure I can speak on behalf of Mohammed. If you need help in this part of the world with pushing it, then get in touch.
Well, definitely will do. I'll definitely hold you to that. And also, of course, like we're at a stage now where, to be honest, we're not trying to necessarily do big sales contracts and everything. We're really just, I mean, everyone that signs up gets $50 credit. It's like the more people that play with this, give us feedback.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can help. We can help push it through our community to get people to play with it.
Yeah.
And I'm sure once they understand it, how the benefits of using
it,
they're going to take it on anyway. So
exactly, and that's so valuable for us at this stage. Just we have a lot of people playing with early things, and
of course,
tremendously valuable. Yeah,
perfect.
Sounds good. Are there any other questions I might be
missing? Is asking about how are you measuring accuracy? So this is one question that we all have, right? How are we? There are so many benchmarks and there are so many ways to do that. So just asking anything.
So Arshad, like basically, like every prompt would generate different response, right? What is the expected response? So based on that, accuracy should be measured, right? That's what my guess is.
So we're measuring accuracy using GPT-4 as an oracle. So basically, we say to GPT-4 like something like this. It's like, here is the question. Here is a reference correct answer, because actually all of the data sets we're doing here are labeled data sets. They're labeled coding data sets that have an answer and an example of a correct solution. So we say to GPT-4, given this question, given this hypothetical correct answer, and given this other answer generated by another agent, how good is it? And how correct is it? Is it kind of irrelevant? Is it very bad? Is it satisfactory? Is it good? Very good. And please explain your reasoning as to why why you came to this conclusion. So we're using GPT-4 as an oracle marker basically for the accuracy, and we find that's very good. We've kind of validated that with looking at a few hundred, cherry picking them, like looking through ourselves. Is GPT-4 doing a good job here? Is it consistent? And generally speaking, it is. So that's how we're doing it. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Daniel.
Sure. Any other questions at all?
Yeah, I encourage people to ask questions. It is an amazing, it's a new thing that Daniel is trying to solve. And Daniel, are there any competitors who are doing the same thing?
Yeah, there's a few people doing interesting stuff. So one company where been following for a while is Martian Router. They actually recently released a benchmark, which is going to be super helpful, called Router Bench, I think. So yeah, they're doing some cool stuff here. I know that Chip, I've forgotten her surname now, but she did a really interesting blog post on this a few weeks ago. It's kind of just a toy example, but that got a lot of attention, and I know that she's thinking about that. I also know that LMSys, from my understanding, are exploring routing as well. So It's certainly not only us. There's a few players in the space, and which I think is testament to the fact that it really is a good idea, and it is going to become a big part of the LLM space. So, yeah, all the more exciting to be involved in the space.
Yeah,
Just a question here, or two questions I want to ask. Sorry to interrupt. Are you worried that, with Amazon and these big platforms, they're trying to attract more people to their systems, that they will integrate something similar to that one, since they are hosting all the capabilities, that they will add this one as well as an advantage? Are you in work with any of these companies, like Amazon in this case?
Yeah.
Or are you afraid of that?
I think so that could happen, but I'd be surprised. I mean, it's not totally out of the question, but I'd be surprised if Amazon build a solution that starts routing a lot of traffic to Google's Gemini, for example, instead of its own. What's it called? I've forgotten its model now. Amazon AWS has its own foundation model.
Titan, and
yeah, exactly, Titan. Yeah. So I'm not sure, but basically, my hypothesis is that basically what we might see is more and more verticalized LLMs, because what you need to make a good LLM is data. And like all of the world's valuable data, most of it isn't public. There's a lot of incredibly valuable data that would be very good at training an LLM that's kind of privately locked up in different organizations and so on. And also, like, OpenAI have bought exclusive rights to certain data sets and so on. If other competitors buy exclusive rights to other data sets as well, what you might end up seeing is fragmentation in the data that has been acquired to train these models, and then you have fragmentation in the latent ability of these models. And that means that you necessarily, to get the very best performance, need a router that routes across different organizations who are themselves competitive with one another. And I'm not sure I see those companies abstracting something that kind of drives attention and traffic away from their own stuff in their own cloud. So that's one thing that I think might make it a little bit less obvious for these companies to go after this market. And I also think, I don't know, I mean, I think in a way, like, this is quite deeply technical, and I think there's enough kind of technical prowess in startups that are doing this kind of stuff. It's way more often that, like, very clever people are spinning out from Amazon and Facebook and Google and doing their own thing, than it is that people are going, like, flocking to these companies. And I think the technical IP, might actually be within the hands of startups, where increasingly top researchers are getting involved in, from what I can see. That's a bit of a loose argument, but I'm not too concerned by it, basically, because of these reasons. Yeah.
Personally, I'm also not. Amazon, the company will not do this, but open sources like LangChain,
yeah,
they might get, and already they are doing something. It's not that great right now, but they are the ones, the larger framework that people are using. But
yeah,
there's a big market, so I feel that it is good for more and more people to be in the field, to cause the awareness that there is a technology called routing that helps people to optimize their solutions, and the market is huge.
Yeah.
So
I also tend to think, because we're considering open sourcing quite a lot of parts of the stack, actually. There's a few things we'll be open sourcing as part of our launch. And I think in a way, like, what enterprises always pay for is kind of convenience in a way. Like, I mean, so one of the things we have, which is very convenient, is the single sign-on. So in a way, you just send your request to one place, and you need to be paying these backend providers anyway. So, I think that's one thing, but also the ability to, with a few clicks, start to fine tune your own router on your own data that natively connects to your data store in the cloud and so on. So I think even if the core technology is open sourced and the core infrastructure for chaining these things together, there's still something that the enterprises want. And, LangFuse is doing okay, I think, spun out from LangChain and so on. So I think having a very generous and powerful open source offering doesn't necessarily kill the ability for you to provide what enterprises need in the space, basically, is my kind of overall thinking. Is that another raised hand, Omar, or was that left from last time? Might be left from last time.
I think he had one more question.
Yeah, there's another question, Omar. Maybe it was the most recent one.
Yes, basically, I would like to ask you. You've shown us like the list for the countries and the behavior of the services in that country.
Yeah.
Now, in the Middle East, we are still having issues with the ChatGPT because sometimes there is a delay. So, in your study, do you have any list of all the countries, including the Middle East? What will be the best, let's say, services or faster response?
Yeah.
Less latest.
So what we're thinking, because running these benchmarks is actually something that's quite well expensive in a way. So we've had to be quite kind of limited on where we filter things. But one thing that we are planning on doing is adding. Well, it's a feature that we're considering adding, where basically people can kind of put their own location and then in your own custom account. So kind of, you know, once you've signed into your account, you can then see the latest data based on your specific IP address. And you can then actually do very, very specific routing with benchmarks that are kind of done in a very personalized way. I think we could add one more. So right now we've kind of gone for Europe, Asia, and the US, like broadly speaking. I think adding one more a bit further south would actually be a good idea. But I think one thing that's going to be, because in a way, like it's always going to be some random city somewhere far away. And I think what's going to be very useful is when you basically have very, you know, your IP address included in the benchmarks. That's something that we'll add, and I think will be very, very powerful. So that's a great point. So I see another one. Yeah. So how do I become an LLM contributor? So actually, feel free to ask on the Discord. So we do have a role actually. So all you need to do is there's a I could probably find the link. So if you let me quickly do this. So if you go to this, where are we? Careers. So for becoming a contributor, you can just go to apply.unify.ai. And if you follow this link and fill in the form, we have a contributor program where we have about 40 people now, where we have weekly challenges. You can apply for that, and if you've got a good background in ML, then we'll bring you on board, and you'll get mentorship from the team, one-on-one meetings every week, and engagement in these weekly LLM challenges, using the platform to build things. So we'd love to have you on board, Adarsh. So feel free to follow that link. And as for Discord, thank you very much, Patrick. Exactly, this is the link. It was auto-generated. I've noticed a few times that the first 3 letters say sexy, but, but anyway, that's our Discord link. So feel free to join that. And again, to be honest, on Discord, we're very active, so you can just go on the general channel. We actually just had a Discord restructure, so we're going to be soon explaining a bit more detail how to engage with all of the new channels that we created yesterday. But you can just tag me directly. I'm always very responsive on our Discord. So we'd love to have people join.
Daniel, could you show a quick demo how to open the account and put the coupon code, because it will be helpful for people here?
Yes. So basically, what you need to do is that the UX, I have to say, being totally candid, our UX leaves a lot to be desired and kind of sucks. Our UX is going to be a lot better soon. But what you need to do first of all is kind of sign in, basically. So if you go onto the landing page, can you see my screen right now? I think you can, right?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. So if you go sign in, and then what you do is sign in with your email or with your Google or GitHub. So I'm going to quickly just continue with Google on my side, and then you come to this account where you can get your API key. This is going to have a bit of a makeover soon, but you can then get your API key for the model hub, and you can then copy this basically. So that's the first thing, just signing up, and then to actually use it, you can then go to the docs, like try now, pricing and credits, and then basically here. So at the moment, it's quite bare bones. We have a Python package that will be releasing probably on Monday. So again, the user experience will then be for Python users, you'll be able to pip install a package and use it directly. But right now we have curl requests to our intermediary API. And basically, all you need to do, you may have received a code to increase your number of credits. If that's the case, you could activate it during a request to this endpoint, where you just do this curl request. So it's very, very hacky, very, very engineer-focused way of using your top-up code. and you send this, you put your code here, and you put your Unify AI key here, and you'll get the top of credits basically. And that's how to do it. So it's a hacker's way of doing it. So there's an entry barrier. Soon it will be in the console, but for now it's a curl request. Yeah.
It's the initiation test, right, Daniel?
It is the initiation test, exactly. It's a test. Are you a hacker enough? Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, cool.
So
Any other questions?
So there are some. I'd like to know about your future plans and specifically, as you said, that you are not only focused on LLMs, you are focused on a lot of other things in your platform. So a roadmap of what you are seeing, and specifically
Yeah.
because in our community there are a lot of people who are hands-on, who want to build their careers. So as a industry leader and working in this space for a long time, what do you suggest people to learn and prepare themselves for the future jobs and work that they're going to do?
So so actually, interestingly, the company has actually become much more focused. Our central thesis of the company now is the best LLM on every prompt. We've fully doubled down on this dynamic routing angle. So while we see future interesting areas for text to speech and text to video and text to image, etc., for now we are effectively an LLM company. I genuinely think, I know it's a hype topic and you shouldn't always just follow the hype. I do think that, as many have touted, including Andrej Karpathy and many others, I do think that LLMs represent a new fundamental layer of the tech stack, much like databases when they came out, much like, well, I'm not saying it's the same as the internet in terms of its transformational power, but in a way, like LLMs represent general reasoning building blocks that can be stacked together to build new computer-like and application-like things, which is very different to a CNN that can detect cats or dogs in images, or even a text-to-speech model or a image generation model. Like language is the, so it might sound patronizing. I mean, everyone's aware of this. I guess that's why LLMs are so interesting. But language is like the medium of information share, which makes it basically LLMs are like a new building block of general intelligence. And I think I therefore think that following along with the world of agents and trying to get familiar with how you can use these language models to build interesting agents and high-level applications is super interesting. That's what's created Devin. Obviously, like those guys have gone and dived deep and I think built very complex kind of prompting and RAG and tool use and built something that looks like a coder that's behind the other side. So that's an obvious thing. Agents are not just hype. It is a genuine new wave of the tech stack that's going to be important, is my feeling. So learn that. But of course, it always helps to understand the fundamentals. I really think, I don't know, I mean, there's so many areas, right? Like hardware is going to really need a renaissance. We had a reading group the other day about the new era of 1-bit LLMs. And I do think that isn't hype either. That's not an overly grandiose title. I think LLMs will all be 1-bit or at least 1.58-bit going forward. So there's going to be massive innovation on silicon and hardware. So if you want to learn that, there's going to be lots of work to be done. Like there's going to be lots of work on the compiler side. There's going to still need to be more innovation on the algorithm. So it's still not a waste of time to learn the fundamentals of gradient descent and the statistics of machine learning and train your own neural network, get your hands dirty there. I think none of these areas are going to become irrelevant, but there's just kind of more layers that need work. Like the stack is kind of growing. It's like a cake where there's more and more layers on the top, and each of them need attention. So I think any of these areas, if you just dive deep into it, you'll have a lot of value to add. But I guess my general point is you should go deep. You never create that much value by just being on the surface level. Like if you want to make value, you kind of need to be willing to spend the time and dive deep and understand that one area. And the real value comes from people that that work on the fundamentals, let's say. Yeah, I don't know, that's quite broad, but I feel that's helpful.
Yeah, because earlier today we were doing a workshop on vector databases and vector embeddings, because personally what I was mentioning also in the community, that there is a lot of consolidation going on right now and there is a lot of unstructured data. 80% of the data is unstructured, and vector database is one thing. Personally, what I feel is there is going to be a lot of innovation and lot of you can say focus, because vector for using LLMs and for using these technologies, You
Yeah.
need to have a very good control over the vector databases, the vector embeddings, how it is working. The better the embedding is, the faster the response is.
Yeah.
I'm sure that LLM, the CPU, the GPUs and all are important, but personally, vector databases and how you are, because a lot of value for businesses are coming from their local data, not
Yeah.
from the LLMs out there, and they have to use this process more and more. Understand the engineers should implement these vector databases, use it properly,
Yeah.
do proper embeddings. And this is where, and when we were doing this particular workshop, we saw that a lot of details about back to our conventional machine learning, bag of words, TF-IFD, and all these things are coming up
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
is a lot of things about this. So I wanted to share
Yeah.
that.
I totally agree. I think what we see a lot of enterprises, the most common use case that we can see of LLMs is basically knowledge retrieval. And I mean, we even have this. This is how we use LLMs internally. We have a ton of YouTube videos. We have a ton of like documents in our shared drives. We have a ton of Discord channels. All of this contains important information about the work that we need to do, how the company works, how the system works, or whatever. Like, if you can have one LLM that has access to the entire context of everything that's relevant in the company and every like relevant file and folder and so on, like, and then you can just ask questions and not have to like trawl through files and folders doing keyword search and stuff. I think the interface to data and like local search engines almost, because in a way, when you go looking through a set of files and folders, you're kind of like doing search in a way, like to try to find the relevant guide or documentation. And I think kind of search engines built on top of companies, you know, messy data that's all over the place is going to be very, very useful. And it's what we see a lot of people doing. And that's obviously a RAG question to more than anything else. So I think that's, yeah, super interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I think there are no more questions. It was wonderful having you here, Daniel.
Wait, there's one more that we have to ask. One more.
Ooh.
Okay, because we have had a hot debate about this. What is your opinion? Should new people coming into the field learn to program, or should they just be using no code?
Yeah.
We've had a furious debate about this.
I don't know. I mean, it depends where. I guess there's value to be created in both. Like, I don't think coding is dead. Definitely not, because there's. I mean, if you're the one that's going to be like, I don't know. I mean, I think you should learn to code because it just kind of teaches you something about problem solving in general. I mean, in a way, like I think the most important skill is, like, particularly nowadays. Well, not. I mean, it's been an exponential growth in technology forever, obviously, but like it always feels more exaggerated, you know, from your perspective, because it continues to be exponential. But so the technology stack is going to keep crazing in vast, crazy ways, and predicting what you're going to need to be able to do in 10 years is very hard. What really matters is like meta learning. So like my degree was in mechanical engineering, and there was lots of very hard maths, lots of very hard statistics or whatever, and a bit of coding. And I think while none of that is remotely relevant in what I'm doing now, like I was never, you know, formally trained in coding or anything, but like just having to get your head around difficult concepts and learning to ingest data very quickly is just like totally necessary. So if you can learn complex things quickly and you can train your brain to be good at doing that repeatedly, that's the most beneficial skill, because you're going to need to be pretty versatile, because every few years there's going to be something new to learn if you really want to be creating value. It's not going to be enough to kind of learn what you learned in your 20s or whatever and just stick with it, like, because, you know, the exponential curve keeps going and the human lifespan stays fixed. Just like so just increasingly so, it's harder and harder to repurpose what you've learned content wise into the future. So I think just kind of like, I think learning coding, even if it's not actually going to be what you do in 5 years time, like it's going to mean you've gone through the mental arithmetic of understanding how to, you know, how to deal with logic and learn complex things. And it's a very good way of doing that, very concrete way of doing that, I think. But I also do think that the whole like agents and prompting and kind of seeing LLMs as a fundamental part of the stack is legit. Like, I think that is an interesting thing. And I think you should also not turn your nose up to that. And, you know, some people just think it's all hype, and I think that's wrong. I think you should probably do a bit of both, to be honest. But learning to code, definitely, I think people should do.
Yeah, great. Good. I'm glad you said that.
I'm glad you approved.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming, Daniel, and coming on and giving the presentation today. We're very, really grateful for you to do that, and hopefully we can maybe have you on again in 6 months or something like that, and for an update. And we'd love to help support you. What you're doing is a fascinating thing. So
no, I'd love to. I mean, and hopefully by that time we're hoping to launch in 2 weeks. So hopefully, if we do another one in 6 months, then there'll be a lot of cool stuff to show.
Yeah, sure. And let us know how we can help you in this part of the world. Get in contact with Mohammed, and we'll help push it for sure.
No, sounds good. Sounds good. I'll actually dive off. I know you're doing a bit of a follow-on, but I actually have a train I need to catch.
No, cool, no problem.
I'll dive off. It was really great to be here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Safe journey. Cheers.
Have a great day. We will continue our call, guys, so don't drop out. I will quickly share my screen and talk about the updates. So cool. So we all mainly we have 3 events this weekly events. Tuesday we have the AI show at 7 p.m. where we also try to get some guest speakers to come and share their insights. Career talk about how we can use this, and we also hear from all the leaders that coding is still relevant, and talking more about these details. Today's workshop also was very good, where many people were interested to know in details about the mathematical stuffs that are happening, which we will discuss. It does not happen in 1 hour to discuss all the technical mathematical concepts. We need to get into longer sessions, but at least we get the curiosity that these things you need to understand and spend time. All the recordings are there in the community portal, so you can have a look at it and get into details about that. And also Saturday 4 this, the one that we're having now, we will continue having this. We're trying to get in more guest speakers like Daniel to come and share the amazing developments in the generative AI space, specifically because all the focus is on LLMs, vector databases, and all those things. Some of the workshops that we are going to have for the month of April is we are going to have these workshops that are there, more detailed workshops on vector databases. SQL, we had to have a session on advanced Windows function by Mohammed Tanveer. And we are going to have this as well. We are going to announce all these workshops, the dates, in the events page of our community. And also we are going to also do this about the AI builder cohort. This is specific for the people who want hand holding, who want to go ahead through all the courses that we have, plus also get help in building a project as an internship to showcase their knowledge, to also be having a experience within that project under the guidance of a mentor with one-on-one weekly calls to guide the person as well. So the details will be there, the pricing and everything will be shared with you always. Like it is this particular thing, as you can see, how you want to build a project and get a guidance of what all skills you require, what all things that you require to do end to end, what we are going to talk about and in the recent days that are there. And also we do weekly challenges. Is Mohammed Adib on the call? I think he's not there in the call. We will reach out to him. So we have weekly challenges wherein we people go in and we have changed the format of the challenges right now, as there is a assessment link that we have for every weekly challenge. So we have a combination of 10 questions, 20 minutes. And this week we have Mohammed Adib. The next challenge is going to be released tomorrow. So do participate. This is a good way for all of you to practice your skills that are required in this technology and in this particular space. So best congratulations, Adib, and encourage every one of you to participate in this challenge, not only for the prize that he gets 1 month guild membership plus a ebook from our partner Pact, which is one of the providers for ebooks for in the AI space, but also as a the learning of how to apply your skills and refresh your skills, which is very, very important. Also, most of our users are on mobile, and many of you request me, so you can search for nas.io, or you can scan and take a photo of this QR code. I will also share this PPT after the call. You can scan this, install it in your Android or Apple, and you get a very good experience, and on the go you can hear the recordings of the workshops, of the audio events, plus even go through the courses that are there. So we have approximately right now 280 plus hours of content plus 20 courses, and we are 50 plus workshops approximately are there, and every week we are adding more content. So do have a look, have a view at it as well. So this is the things that we are having right now, the major courses. We have added few more courses. We are working on few other courses as well. One new course that we have also launched is AI at Work, wherein the courses that are related to people who want to use AI or these LLMs for their business or for their professional work, like creating PowerPoints or using advanced data analysis in GPT, or and the other multimodal LLMs like Gemini or Anthropic. So more details about that, everything is there on our nash.io/AI guild. If you are not a member of it, I will also put it on the link as well. You will get access to a lot of content, and we keep updating content and also invite guest speakers like Daniel to come and share their expertise and give opportunities to the community. So all of you who are part of this, if I just rephrase, use the coupon code decoding data science in the for Unify, you will get $100 $50 extra token to play around with it. And this is a he has done this for the community. So take the opportunity of what we are trying to do and get thought leaders to talk about these technologies and share their insights. And this is what we are, because we have a team, we are charging a small token for this, and I will also share the link here for people who are here. And also you can try it out for 7 days, whatever we have, and then make a call as well. So I'm sharing this link with you guys as well, and you can scan the QR code. There is a lot of value, as we are saying, 280 plus hours of content, lot of events, access to premium content, plus access to live workshops. So I thank you everyone. Now I don't think there are any more things that I needed to add today. You want to add anything else? I think Fatima is raising her hands. Yeah, go ahead, Fatima. You can unmute and ask your question.
Hi, Mohammed. The session was amazing. I just had a few questions. I wanted to get started with the membership community, the paid version, but I was not well last week. I was down with infection, so I'm trying to get started the coming week. I just want to understand, like, in terms of what are the benefits? Like, I understand that what I can see that there are meetups. So I just want to learn a bit more, like, what are the advantages? Like, what are the things that I'm going to be learning as a, as a paid member? Just in a nutshell.
So first thing is that you're going to get access to all the courses, the self-paced content, plus the workshops. So all the workshops that we do, like today workshop that we did for vector databases, the master class. So that is for the paid community. So you need to be part of the guild community or the premium community to access any of the master classes and workshops. And that is the USP or the unique selling proposition for our community compared to other Coursera and other of the data camps, that we have live workshops in a closed group. So we have around 15 to 20 people max who join, and we have the workshop of these master. There are two type of things. We have master class for concepts, like today we had for vector embeddings, and outcome based workshops. So right now we have around 50 plus workshops that we have already done. As a member, you will be getting access to all the recordings, plus access to the future live workshops that are going to happen, and plus the content that is already here. So everything you will be getting in a nutshell, you get all these access to all these things.
Okay, that definitely answers my question. And are there like meetups that happens every month or something, or after every 2 to 3 months?
So we have these online meetups every week, as you are part of. We have two meetups. One is our professional meetup that we have in some of the incubators or any tech centers, and we have a coffee meetup every in the mall of. So we have these two type of. One is a casual meetup where we discuss about the topics, and when we have a formal meetup that we are that is the physical meetups. But we have this online meetups that you are part of, because our community is based out of UAE, but we have a lot of people from across the world. So this is a good point for us to also meet every week and have a catch up, and this physical meetups that we just had one 2 days back as well.
Okay, that definitely was giving me a lot more clarity, and I was very much interested in the vector. But yeah, I definitely would be attending more sessions, especially when it comes to vectors and the statistics and math behind it. Thank you so much, Mohammed.
Thank you. If there are any more questions, I will just quickly also walk you through the presentation that we did in the community day. So this is our trajectory. We celebrate our 1 year. March 20th we started, and right now we are, I think this is updated 3-4 days back, and we have a global community, as we are saying, based out of UAE, but you can see the distribution is across the world. And these are the things that we are doing. And also I can just 1 second. I will just share the presentation that I had quickly walked through in the community day. Okay, so this is where we started on February 2023. This was our first coffee meetup that we had done. So few of our data science professionals from LinkedIn, from the people I know personally, we met in Mall of Emirates. And we don't have any data science and tech community that is very much focused on data science AI that time. So we thought we will try to formalize this. Every first Thursday of the month we started meeting in MOE, and this is still continuing and regularly. And this is our last meetup that we had, where we had 70 plus people who had joined, and it was one of very great events that was there. So this is our journey, and our growth is, as you can see, it's a linear growth without any marketing.
This skin color and this skin color is different.
Yeah, because
You have any question, Tahir, or you're just by mistake? If you're not speaking, you can be on mute.
Sorry.
So now we are across 109K people across social media platform, and we are growing organically, word of mouth. So all of you here are our ambassadors, like Jishnu, Fatima. So whenever you talk about our community to other people, just give the link, the free community, let them join, access these meetups. There are a lot of free content as well in our platform for people to have a look at. We also got featured in our collaboration with AI Co, where we did a hackathon. We got featured in Khalij Times, and the hackathon was an amazing place. I was also one of the judging panels, where we gave an award to not only the professionals. This award happened on the 15th of February on our last, you can say, professional setup, where we announced all the winners. Plus, we had a special category for students as well. And the best thing, and this is a selling point of our what we are trying to do, is giving placements to the people who are part of the community. So 3 of our community members, they got placed in AICO from our campaign that we are doing. And right now also we have 2 job openings that are there for an AI engineer and a senior data scientist, which is also posted in the announcement. You can go and have a look. If you are eligible, you can apply your CV. We will shortlist, and we will make sure if you're ticking all the eligibility criteria, pushing your CV to that particular concerned person as well. So these are some of our achievements that we have done in the last 1 year. We have, and also coming to the future plan with AUS, American University of Sharjah, we are having this startup boot camp wherein they are going to pitch their solutions, and we are going to mentor them and judge them. And the winner of the particular boot camp, the startup boot camp that is happening in American University of Sharjah, they will be getting, they will be part of our premium community. Plus, they will be getting mentorship, one-on-one mentorship with 3 months internship opportunity within the within our company and guidance, so that whatever they are doing, they can scale it up and they can formalize what they are doing. So this is one of the things that we are doing. Plus, we have the foundational certificates and specialized certificates. We are launching it, as we have already launched some of them. You can get the details in the announcement portal. Plus this boot camp with internships that we are going to start very soon. And these challenges and hackathons, we continue to do it at a regular basis to keep the momentum going. And we will do much more. We are also talk with some companies to also organize more hackathons that is very specific for employment, because hackathons is one way for companies to not only talk about their products or solutions, but also to get a pipeline of resources. And this is the culture that we are trying to build in. Plus, this is what we are also exhibiting, and I'm speaking also at Seamless. This is one of the events that happen in WTC as well. And these are some of the things. More details we will keep pushing it as we go ahead. But these are some of the highlights that for the future few months that we are seeing. So these are the things that are there. So thank you everyone for joining in. If there are no more questions, over to you, Patrick, if you want to just summarize everything, and then we can.
Thank you, Mohammed. So yeah, so we've just had our first year and it's been amazing. And we're very grateful to all of you for joining in. There's so many more plans coming this year for the second year. More hackathons, more we're talking about setting up business not kind of business incubator / like coaching for those who want to set up their own business based on AI and tech, data science. We're getting a team together to help with that. There's all the usual standard events, all the online events, etc., etc. You know, we want helping to create internships for you guys, so that you can build up your experience with real world applications. You know, we're really going to be cranking it up this year, and we all need your support and help with your time. If you have a budget to become part of the premium community, we would be very grateful. But if you want, also, we're looking for speakers all the time. If you've got something around the AI data sciencing that you'd love to talk about, this is the slot for you, like we've just had with a gentleman today, so Daniel. So please volunteer your time. If you want any projects that you're working on and you want to talk about the project, how you built it, how you designed it, how you implemented it, practical projects and experience shared with the community is the best way of learning. So, you know, we're 1 year old. We're still, I guess we're a toddler now, not quite a baby, but a toddler, just coming up. So we're going to be crawling and walking in the next, in the second year. So we're just getting started, and we thank you once again for everybody. And please, you know, do let, we should never forget what Mohammed and Sadia created here for all of you. And you should take the time to thank him, both of them, for creating it, because it's been an amazing first year, and based on a lot of hard work that both of them have done. So please say thank you in the chat or message him personally or whatever. And but the best way you can thank us is to contribute and build it. And let's make it a fantastic second year. So thank you everybody for watching. We'll be back at the same time next week. We got the AI show. Well, we got the shows, the career talk tomorrow, yeah, on Sunday, and the AI show on Tuesday, yeah.
Thank you everyone, and have a great day. See you soon.
Take care. Bye.
Okay, guys. Good day.